Once upon a time, in a quiet little town nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, there was a cozy cottage that had stood for more than 100 years. Its walls were made of weathered stone, softened by time and gentle rains, and its roof was covered in moss and wildflowers that had taken root over the decades. The windows, slightly crooked, reflected the golden glow of the setting sun, casting warm patches of light onto the garden below. This cottage belonged to a kind-hearted woman named Eleanor. She was known throughout the town for her gentle smile, her warm laughter, and her talent for making everyone feel at home. Eleanor's days were filled with simple pleasures, tending her garden, baking bread that smelled like childhood, and reading stories aloud to her beloved cat Whiskers, who purred softly in her lap. Eleanor's garden was a little world of its own. There were rows of lavender and rosemary, their scents mingling in the air, and a small patch of sunflowers that always seemed to turn their faces toward the sky, as if eager to catch the last rays of sunlight. There was also a tiny pond, fringed with reeds and lilies, where frogs croaked softly at dusk, and dragonflies danced in the warm breeze. One particular evening, as the sky turned a gentle shade of pink, and the stars began to twinkle faintly above, Eleanor decided to take a walk through her garden. She loved these quiet moments when the world seemed to slow down, and everything felt just right. She strolled along the winding stone path, her hands brushing lightly against the leaves and petals, feeling the coolness of the evening air. As she wandered, Eleanor's eyes caught sight of a small hidden corner of her garden she hadn't visited in a while. It was tucked behind a thicket of holly bushes, where an old wooden bench sat beneath a sprawling oak tree. The bench was weathered but sturdy, its paint chipped and faded, telling stories of many years of use. Eleanor sat down gently, her back resting against the rough bark of the oak. She closed her eyes for a moment, listening to the symphony of crickets and the distant hoot of an owl. The garden around her was alive with quiet magic, a place where time seemed to pause and memories lingered like a soft, comforting blanket. As she sat there, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves, and Eleanor felt a sense of peace settle over her. She remembered the stories her grandmother used to tell her about this very garden, how it was once a small farm, where her ancestors grew vegetables and raised chickens. Over the years, the land had transformed, but the heart of it remained the same, a place of warmth, growth, and belonging. Suddenly, Eleanor noticed something unusual. A tiny flicker of light danced among the shadows beneath the oak tree. Curious, she leaned forward and saw a small, glowing creature, no bigger than a sparrow, hovering just above the ground. Its light was soft and golden, like a tiny lantern, and it shimmered with a gentle hum of energy. Eleanor's eyes widened with wonder. She had heard stories of fairies and forest spirits, but she had never seen one herself. The creature seemed to notice her gaze and fluttered closer, its delicate wings shimmering in the moonlight. "Hello," Eleanor whispered softly, her voice barely more than a breath. "Are you a fairy?" The tiny being nodded, its glow pulsing gently. "I am a guardian of this garden," it replied in a voice that sounded like the tinkling of tiny bells. "I watch over the plants and animals, ensuring that everything remains in harmony." Eleanor felt a warm smile spread across her face. "It's beautiful here," she said. "Thank you for taking care of it." The fairy hovered closer, its light casting a gentle glow on Eleanor's face. "This garden has been part of your family for generations," it said. "And now, it is part of you. Remember, the magic of this place is not just in the fairy lights or the flowers, but in the love and care you give to it." Eleanor nodded, feeling a deep sense of connection. She reached out her hand, and the fairy gently landed on her finger, its tiny wings fluttering softly. In that moment, Eleanor understood that her simple acts of kindness, watering the plants, clearing away weeds, singing to the flowers, were what kept the magic alive. As the night deepened, the fairy told Eleanor stories of the garden's history, how the first settlers planted the seeds, how the old oak tree had grown tall and strong over the centuries, and how every creature that called this place home was part of a larger story of life and renewal. Eleanor listened intently, feeling her heart swell with gratitude. She realized that her small,